City Council meeting for Wednesday, November 17th, 2021. The meeting tonight is being recorded and broadcast live via Easthampton Media on Charter Channel 193 and live streamed on Easthampton Media's YouTube channel. All councilors and participants in this meeting are gathered remotely under an executive order by Governor Baker, which has been extended to April 2022, allowing us to do so. I remind both the members of the City Council and of the public to remain on mute until recognized by the chair. Also, for members of the public, please remove your camera for the duration of the meeting unless you are participating in public speak or the public hearings. Thank you. This meeting is now called to order. Barbara, the roll call, please.
Peg Coniff.
Here.
Salem Derby.
Present.
Erica Flood. Omar Gomez.
Here.
JP Kaczynski.
Here.
Tom Peak.
Here.
Dan Rist.
Here.
Lindsay Rothschild. Here. Owen Zarin.
No, Owen?
He was here. He left.
He was.
Okay.
Okay.
We'll get him next time. We'll now rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I can't stand up.
I pledge allegiance
Allegiance to the flag
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic
for which it stands,
one nation, under God,
God,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We have no minutes to approve, so we will move on to public speak. Is there any member of the public who would like to speak at this time? Go ahead and raise your hand and you will be recognized and we will call on you. Okay, not seeing any. We do have a public hearing at 6:15, but until then, we can go right into communication from elected officials, boards, and committees. I don't know. There is a new city neighborhood walk shop flyer and invitation. I don't know if Jeff is here to speak to that at all.
He's not, and I need him for the other two items too.
Okay.
Let me text him.
All right. Any other counselors have anything for counselor, I was going to say Counselor Peak, but Counselor Speak. No. Okay. I just have a quick thing that I just want to take a moment to thank the Easthampton Health Department and Director Bree Eichstad for coordinating a successful vaccination clinic for 5 to 11-year-olds last Friday, November 12th at the high school. Bree partnered with the Northampton Health Department and coordinator Michelle Lee, an Easthampton resident, to bring this clinic to Easthampton children. During the 3-hour clinic, 141 children were vaccinated. This could not have been so successful without the support of School Superintendent Allison LeClaire, Fire Chief Chris Norris, who also helped vaccinate, along with firefighters, EMS, and other volunteer vaccinators, including school nurses. There were also a number of other volunteers to help with registration, post-vaccine observation, giving out treats, and general coordination to ensure as low stress an event as possible for both the kids and the parents. Feedback has been very positive, and a huge thanks goes out to Bree and Michelle for pulling together such a successful event. We thank them, the parents thank them, and I know the kids thank them as well. All right, is Jeff here? Anybody else have any?
You want to deal with Google Meets and Karen now?
As well, since Karen is here, we know Karen is here. Karen, why don't you speak a little bit? I think originally we were going to have kind of a modified walkthrough of Google Meets. I don't know if we still are going to do that, given that we
Yes, no.
a couple of hiccups.
So let's go to Google Meet. Thank you very much for inviting me. Yeah, so Google Meet is a powerful video conferencing tool. And we are going to switch away from Zoom to Google Meet. Google Meet is easy to use. It integrates very nicely with Workspace, and it's free. It's part of the license that we have for Workspace. So it only makes sense to use a tool instead of using Zoom. But I'm here to talk about a little bit about the logistics of how we're going to implement this and how we're going to use it. And in order to better understand how it's going to work, I need to start from the end. So what happens in Google Meet, when you record a meeting, automatically a folder is created called meeting recordings, where the video is stored. Easthampton Media has access to that folder, so they can immediately edit the video and post it. So even though each one of us has the capacity to create a meeting at any time, we're going to use only one account to get organized to create meetings. Well, more than one. For City Council, we have one account called City Council Google. We're going to use that account to create a meeting. We're going to have one for committees to keep organized. So the way it's going to work, the clerk, IT are going to schedule the meeting. When we schedule the meeting, we can add hosts, and each meeting can have up to 25 hosts. Any of the hosts can start the meeting. Any of the hosts can record the meeting, but the recordings always go back to the account that organized the meeting. So we don't want to give Easthampton Media access to all of our drives and folders to keep us organized. We're going to use only that account. It's very similar to Zoom. You can, by default in the organization, the security settings are going to be participants cannot share a screen, participants cannot chat. In order to present or chat, they need to be made hosts. Any of the hosts can make a participant a host. Participants need to be admitted to the meeting. Participants can be removed, and once removed, they can no longer enter the meeting in progress. They can enter meetings, future meetings. Anyone from a browser, Safari, Chrome, Edge, can participate in a Google Meet. They don't have to have a Gmail account. Like Zoom, they can call into the meeting. If they join from a smartphone, they need to use a Google Meet app. And in order to use the app, they need a Gmail account, a personal free Gmail account. Let's see, what else?
Karen, do you know, are we going to be ready to use this soon or?
Yes, timeline. So we are going to start implementing this in the first quarter of 2022. So that's January to March. This is going to give us time to make the transition, to make sure everybody is comfortable. You're going to find that it's very user-friendly. It's Google, the interface is easy to look and to share, to use. So I think you're going to love it.
And one of the things, Karen, and we haven't really talked a lot about it, but once we are back in City Council chambers, the value of continuing to use Google Meet will be in a hybrid fashion, so that we'll have, in a perfect world, and it's probably going to take a little while to get there, but in a perfect world, we'll have people in City Council chambers and people on Google Meet simultaneously in the same City Council meeting. And that's really the direction we want to get to, is that hybrid model.
Yes, exactly. And for City Councils, for any of the meetings in our conferences rooms downstairs in the first floor, we can integrate with Google Meet. And we had already been testing with Easthampton Media, and it's easier for them actually to connect with Google Meet. They are workspace users than Zoom, so they're very happy. Yeah, and that's the future, right? To have opportunities for everybody to participate.
Okay, great. We have some questions here, Karen. I think they're probably for you and not for me. Dan, I thought I saw JP's hand first, but Dan, I see you're up there as well.
Karen, last we talked, there was an issue, a little glitch between once we use a council account, whatever account it is, and Barbara sets the meeting, designating the host, so the chair, say, of a committee or the president of the council could be the host, is a glitch that Google's fixing. That's still the case, right? We can't use this until there's an update from Google. Am I correct still?
Yes, you're correct. And actually, thank you, Dan, for bringing that up. This plan and this implementation, and I think the smooth transition that we are going to have is thanks to Dan, because Dan has helped us troubleshoot and try every way in which we can make it not work correctly. So it's bulletproof. When we move to Zoom, it's going to be perfect. And that's exactly what's happening at this point. Google doesn't allow to have hosts at the moment of creation. There are other ways around. You can change the owner of the meeting. We tried them all. And we decided to wait, and because Google is aware of it, until the first quarter of 2022. That's why that's the date. So they are aware that this is something that needs to happen. So thank you, Dan, for all your help and time.
Counselor Kwasinski. You're muted. There you go.
And thank you so much for joining us and being with us this evening. Great to see you. I was wondering, in order to have public meetings in public places and have full public accessibility, I was concerned about, and I think you answered the question, everyone could call in from their phones, but those who didn't have smartphones or didn't have the app or wasn't really sophisticated with apps, can they call in?
Yes. Yes, absolutely.
Dial up and get into the meeting by pushing a few buttons and a pin and.
Yes. Yes. Well, there is a pin, like exactly with Zoom, you call and there is a pin that they need to enter. In addition, the host can call anybody. If we forgot, oh, JP is not here, he's traveling, blah, blah, we can call you in. So the host can reach out to somebody and invite you.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Counselor Rothschild?
Hi, Karen. Am I right, since that we'll all be able to start a meeting anytime, that this will be a way for us to meet with constituents, like if a one-on-one in an online way, that any of us could start a meeting at any time with a constituent or with each other, like if we just wanted to meet online? That's right? Cool.
Counselor Gomez?
Thank you, Madam President. Hola, Karin. The question that I have is kind of simple. I hope so. Is you said if you have a smartphone, you need an app. Is the same if you have a tablet, like an iPad or something like that? People need an app or no?
Dan, we didn't test that one.
I thought you said, excuse me, I thought you said that you didn't need an app, that all you had to do was click on the link and it would work no matter what browser you're using, whether it's Safari, Chrome, or Edge.
In the app. Let me get back.
No, I don't think you need, in other words, you don't need a Google app. You don't have to have a Google ID or email address, correct?
In the iPad. So this is probably Noah, the other half of the IT department that is very knowledgeable, that provided that information. So I didn't do that test, and I can't say yes until I see it, but probably that's something then that you tested with Noah, and that's probably the case. Yes, if it's a browser, yes, no need to have a Gmail account. On your phone, any smartphone, as soon as you go to the browser, it makes you go into an app.
And I just also want to make the point, I won't be here, so yay. But also, so good luck, everyone. No, but also that I think
we can call you in.
There will be more ongoing over the next few months to get everybody up to speed. I don't want everyone to think that this is it and now you know, and good luck to everyone. We're going to have some more deep dives into this as we get closer and as we get a little smarter on this. We're just not ready to do it until the first quarter. So more to come on this. I just wanted you guys to get an overview of where we are, because I think a month or so ago, we thought we might be using it right now. And now it looks like we're not going to use it until after the first of the year. So I wanted to make that really clear. I saw the mayor, her hand went down. Councilor Rist.
Just a thought. I would recommend that none of you use Google Meets yet until the upgrade. We found out at a finance committee meeting, there's an easy way to screw it up. I found out that you can create 2 different meetings when you try to create a new meeting. So you need some training, and I think Karen's gonna set up some training sessions, but I recommend that let's wait until Google Meets is up to date and we can host meetings and everything. Let's not do a training session and then do another training session, in other words. We might as well wait until Dr. Comerford is ready, okay?
Very good.
Thank you.
I encourage you to start your own Google Meets now in your account with a friend, with a colleague, so you get used to the interface. So you can start a Google Meet. You probably saw it in your calendar. There is a blue button that says create a Google Meet. You just press on that and it gives you the opportunity to then enter a Google Meet. And you can send the invitations just in a calendar. As you send the invitations there, whoever is the recipient is going to get that invitation. So if you have the time and the opportunity, go ahead and test it. It's working. Is now any of us can create meetings on the fly.
Great. Mayor.
Hi, I just wanted to, my hand was up before and I was about to go down that rabbit hole, President Coniff, so I'm not doing that now. I would just put out a strong suggestion for a whole bunch of different reasons, but when we're talking about getting ready to use Google Meets and even the other Google tools that we have, that those be done in groups and the public is invited, but also that there's a 1-pager on the website and you can click really easy 3-minute videos of how to use every Google term, like how do I, not screw up the finance meeting on Google Meets, and a link will come up. And I just say that because I'm very aware of of the time constraints on Karen and on Noah as we build out our IT infrastructure, our firewall, our data center, which is not a repair. We've never had one. So I just kind of put that plug there.
Yep. No,
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
We actually have a beautiful website that has information on using Google Meet with videos and resources, switching from Zoom to Meet, and what is the difference and where you find the different controls. We have the same thing from Outlook to Gmail, and nobody's looking at them. So we already promoted those. So if you can help us promote those videos, I think everybody's going to be more happy. People are happy to be able to, be self-sufficient.
Yeah.
Happy to do that, Karen.
Excellent.
Thank you. Okay, anything else on Google Meet? If not, we will continue on. Thank you, Karen.
Madam President, I make a motion to open the public hearing.
Hold on. Don't we want to talk about the new city neighborhood flyer that Jeff has? He's here now.
Well, it's 6:18. I didn't know if you wanted to start or not.
Okay, so, okay. All right.
Counselor Kwasinski has his hand up. Maybe that's from the last.
Go ahead. We have many hands up.
Sorry, that was just a little slow. I was hoping to get Karen to tell us about where to look for that information.
Why don't you email her? We have a few things we have to get done, but go ahead and email her or call her and she'll be able to get that to you.
Right. I was hoping for the public, anyone who would be interested in joining us.
I don't know if they have access to our account, so I think it's on our account. But...
Very good. Thank you.
Yep. Councilor Flood.
I was going to share that new city info during Counselor Speak, so I'd be happy to share my time with Jeff at that time so we can revisit that.
Okay, so we'll come back to that after the public hearing. So go ahead, Dan.
So I'll remake the motion to open the public hearing.
Okay.
Motion second to open the public hearings. Any further discussion? Barbara.
Ed Coniff,
Aye.
Salem Derby,
Aye.
Erica Flood,
Aye.
Omar Gomez,
Aye.
JP Kaczynski,
Aye.
Tom Peak,
Aye.
Dan Rist,
Aye.
Lindsay Rothschild,
Aye.
Owen Zared.
Yes.
Public hearings are now open. Dan.
I'm not seeing Randy.
He's here. He
Okay.
was here. Yeah, he's
I'm
here.
gonna, first thing up is a tax classification. I'm gonna share the screen that I have for that. Wrong one. I'm gonna let Randy go over all of this first, but I just wanted to say at the top, first of all, these classifications are the same as they've always been. I don't recall in my 25 years on the council having ever changed them. So I'll scroll through this, Randy, and you can talk about them. But also our assessor has a nice PowerPoint, which I promised he would be able to present this evening, which he'll do at the before we make the motion. I wanted to talk about allocation first because there was some discussion about splitting the tax rate. We've never done that. And the reason is, if you look at this, 87% of the tax burden is borne by residential property, and 13%, almost 13%, is carried by all other classes of property, such as commercial. If we were to split the tax rate in order to help the residential property owners, as our assessor said last night, it would require a 50% increase in the rate given to businesses in order to make a dent in the property taxes to residential property owners. And correct me if I'm wrong, Randy, but that's what you said. And as far as I'm concerned, that would drive businesses out of town. We have always been business friendly, and a single rate is all we've always had. We are not a big city that needs to have that rate. That said, I'm going to let Randy talk about each of these classifications, and I'll scroll through them as you go, Randy.
All right, thanks, Dan. Yeah, you're absolutely right. We have a small commercial base, and so if we were thinking of splitting the tax rate, that would put a tremendous burden on them. So this 12.84% is commercial, industrial, and personal property, which is another aspect of having your own business. So it really would put a strain on our commercial people in town, and industrial, if we went and did that. And really the benefit is not, necessarily needed, or is going to be of such a great amount that it's not really significant enough for us to really go there. What we have to do tonight is we have to figure out what we're going to adopt for a residential factor as far as our tax rate goes. And we're looking at the different classes of property. There's residential, there's commercial, industrial, and personal property. And the other one is open space. Now, open space, we don't have and haven't really historically had any open space. If we do have residents that have large amounts of space or farmland, that type of stuff is really more, we're seeing it in chapter, and that's a different way to deal with it than the open space. So one of the things that here we're talking about is the open space discount. And, again, defined as land under public ownership and not otherwise classified. We're not doing that. And since we don't have open space here, we don't need to have a discount for open space. So the Board of Assessors is really not recommending that. There's another right underneath that. One thing that we could do is have a residential exemption. And that would allow up to 35% of the assessed value of the residential class of property to have their value deferred, so they're not taxed on the full amount. And this is something that is really more of what a larger city would do with a very big commercial base. Something that doesn't really fit the way things are here in Easthampton. And so again, the board is not going to be recommending that we go with the residential exemption. The last exemption that we could do is a small commercial exemption. And that is for any business that has a value of less than $1 million and less than 10 employees on an annual in average. And it would give them a 10% discount on the value of their commercial parcels. And, we don't have such a big diversity and our large enough commercial base for this to really be an effective component to add in. So basically, we have the recommendations from the assessors and the Board of Assessors, not only myself, but really from the board for fiscal 2022 for a single tax rate for all classes of property with no open space discount, and no residential exemption, and also no small commercial exemption. And then I guess if you can allow me, Dan, to take over and share my screen.
I'm gonna make you a, if I could find you on my list. Peg, can you, oh, I got him. All right. I'm making you a what happened here? Can you make Randy a co-host? For some reason, I can't. Peg?
He's just been made a co-host, it says.
Okay, Randy, you can go ahead and share.
All right. And so I have done a little PowerPoint presentation, for the city of Easthampton, classification information for fiscal 2022. This is basically a table of contents where we've got the notice of the classification hearing. We're going to look at the 2022 assessed values and prior year evaluations, and then a comparison to some other municipalities. And so here we have the notice to make it official. It's the 17th and 6 o'clock, and we're holding this Zoom meeting. And we have many of these people present, our council president, Peg and Dan and Barbara and everyone else. So, first thing I wanted to look at, or that I'm displaying here, is the prior year valuations. And this is the total value of the single family homes. So I have got that up above here, single family class 101. We've got the total value, and for each of these fiscal years, fiscal 18 through 22, actually, although we don't have some of the other information because that hasn't yet to be determined. But you can look at what we have for the median assessment, and the median assessment is what we would call the middle. So we've got 100, let's say, just pick a number, we've got 100 or 99 single family homes, and it's going to be number 50 that is going to be right in the middle, and that's the median, as opposed to the average, and we call that the mean assessment. The mean is the average. So our middle assessment is $222,600 for fiscal 18, and the average assessment for a single family home in fiscal 18 was $238,657. You can see our total value was $965,826,797. And then it goes through the years, and I'm showing in between these two, 18 to 19, 19 to 20, the percentage of change that took place. And so we gained by 7.6%, 3.33%, and so on and so forth until we get up to current, where we have, there was an 8% increase in the single family values for fiscal 2022. And that was something that we basically had to do because of the way the market was going. We did not make an increase in land values. Commercial values stayed the same, but we did raise the values of the improvements for the residential class of property. So below, I also am showing the same information for the commercial and industrial class, and it's showing what has happened and how it's gone up, and in some cases even gone down a little bit for the commercial class of property. So also showing the tax rates for those different years as it went along. And then that also has, you can see some effect on the amount of the bills. So moving on. I mean, unless there are any questions, if anyone has a question, I actually see a hand up. So if someone has a question, if you think it's a good idea.
Just to say, Mr. Montgomery, will get to you when we open it up for public comment. But this is for counselors right now. Peg, I can't see everybody.
Okay, that's fine.
No, hang on. No one's hand is currently up from the counselors. Does anyone from the counselors have a question? Nope, go ahead, Ray.
Okay, so then we're going to move on to, I put up a little graph of the mean, the average, and median, the middle, that same information, basically to show how that has gone and the increase in values through the years. Next, we have assessments in property class value history. So this was our total residential value in 2022 was $1,622,752,362. You can see how that has increased from 2018. And then also where the residential percentage as a percentage of total value, and then the CIP means commercial, industrial, and personal property. Those are the other classes of property. And so, you know, the residential is that 87.19% in FY 2022 and 12.81%. The commercial, industrial, and personal property makes that up. Oh, I also put a little thing here about new tax growth, the dollars in new tax growth. So when we have new construction and different things that are happening in town, those are new tax dollars. And so it's basically showing where we have gone and how we have done the last 2 years in funds that are a result of new tax dollars and what we call growth. We've got about an average of about maybe 270 to 265. So we're right about on where we're our average basically this year for fiscal 2022. Moving on. This is again a pie chart showing the total values.
Could you hold a second, Randy? Tom had his hand up, and I'm not sure if it wasn't for the last slide.
It was for the last one.
Okay.
I'm just wondering how to interpret the new tax dollar. Is that like tax dollars that were like on properties that weren't there the previous year?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
It's untaxed. It's previously untaxed value. So it's a new home. The land was there, but the home was not. And so those values, anything like that, someone puts up a new pool or a shed, an addition, those are all examples of new growth. And it's not just residential that contributes to that, but we get a lot of our growth from the personal property for the electric company with the poles, wires, and conduits and that type of thing. So there's different things that contribute to growth, and it's basically dollars that were never taxed before.
Great, thank you.
Any other questions from counselors?
I'm not seeing any, Randy.
Oh, okay, so then just a quick pie chart to show those, give a better visual on the percentage of where the value lies. You can see that we've got that residential value and it's about 87%. And then this is the percentage of the personal property, industrial and commercial. And it gives you kind of a little bit better visual of how much, what a bedroom community we really are with a lot of residential value. And this is basically a copy of all of our value and the way it's split up according to the different codes that the Department of Revenue has us use. So for instance, the single families are a code 101. A 102 would be a condominium, and so on and so forth. It doesn't go exactly down the line, but commercial properties are class 300, so it would be in the threes, and it's showing a parcel count. So we have 4,056 single-family homes in town, and the total value of those is at $1,203,880,700. And it goes on and to describe the value in the different classes of property, including personal property for utilities. I was just talking about the utilities, and that was where we got a decent amount of growth this year. And their total value now in town is $53,790,821. And so we get down to our total value of all the taxable properties and have that $1,861,000. Or pardon me, that's $1,861,064,712. So this is how the breakdown goes by class of property or property type. One of the things that I wanted to mention also are the personal exemptions that we give in town. And, that's something that basically it's something where we're exempting certain individuals or a portion of their taxable value. And that is getting basically split and forgiven and absorbed by everyone else. And there's certain qualifications that have to happen, and we make sure that everyone is qualified that is getting these. And so we have a little bit of an idea of where we have, we had in 2018, 15 blind exemptions. And, they've gone down over the years, but we also have a senior exemption that would, I think right now that the senior exemption is $1,000 of taxes that are forgiven, basically, are taxable, taxes that you have to pay that are forgiven for qualifying seniors. There's surviving spouse, which is not the same amount, but it's available for surviving spouses, or if you're over 65, something that's available. And it's not, as I said, as large an amount, but it is also something that's a little bit easier to qualify. And then the last exemption is we have disabled veterans in town. And, that looks like that's been going up over the last couple of years. And so, we appreciate their service to our country. And especially if they have sustained a disability that was the result of a wartime or their time in the service. And so that's what those personal exemptions are, and kind of another thing that we're doing in town.
Randy, we have a couple of questions if you want to pause right here. Counselor Rothschild.
Hi, Randy. I was wondering how eligible people find out about the opportunity to apply for these exemptions, and if you've done any outreach personally, or where we can do more outreach in this area.
Well, that's something that I have done in other towns. I actually was talking to the coordinator of the community center, but then that person left. And so I didn't have the opportunity or make the opportunity, I guess, to do a presentation that I've done. I've got a whole PowerPoint that explains about that. And I'm very big on that awareness, and I want people to know. So we have all the information available in the assessor's office. I do plan on doing some community outreach to make people aware. It really kills me when I have a senior come in that is in their early 80s that qualifies for a senior exemption, and their 72-year-old friend told them about it. And so anyone that qualifies or can qualify for these probably really needs them. And that's why it's a good thing, or I think it's a good thing, to make sure that we get this information out. So we do have it all available in the assessor's office. I guess I'm going to make sure that we've got a little bit more information on our webpage. And I will also be, doing a public presentation on it at the community center eventually.
Okay, I do remember in your interview that you talked about doing those presentations, and I remember we were all like that idea. And so I really encourage you, and if there's any way that I can help, I think that on our website is probably not the place where a lot of these folks get their information. So like anywhere we can go to, like it'd be great if folks with Commission on Disability are also share like different touch points where these people might touch points with the city that they're getting the information. So the community center, obviously the Council on Aging, the veterans. So
yeah, Mike, our veterans agent, I've talked to him a couple times too,
okay, so anyway I can be of help, but I definitely am encouraging of any touch point where these people where people in these groups interface with the city, that they are able to get this kind of information. Thank you.
Appreciate that. I'll keep it in mind.
Counselor Flood.
Just two quick questions. The minor, that's one that I wasn't familiar with. Could you describe what a situation would be like where a minor would be involved? And then the second question is just, could you just quickly run through, I know we're here to set the rate, but I think this is a good teachable moment. Could you let us know what each of the exemption amounts is, if they're standardized, so that if somebody does come back and watch this meeting, they'll at least have an idea of what that exemption amount is that they might be eligible for? And
Sure.
I just want to say thank you. This presentation is very helpful, Randy.
Okay, well, I'm glad you like it. And for the blind, I believe it's, and it varies for different towns. So I believe that for the blind in Easthampton, it's $500. The senior is $1,000. The surviving spouse is $175. And the minor aspect of that would be from a minor who's had a parent pass away. And so, if they were 6 or 7 years old and the father passed away, they would be eligible to get this exemption amount to assist them. I think it's up until they're 18 or able to they would qualify up till that point, or as long as they were a dependent of with their, still had their mom in this example, as long as they were dependent of the mother, that they would still qualify up to a certain point, past 18 if they were going to college or something like that. And the last one is disabled veteran. The disabled veteran is, it varies. So there's a 10%, between 10 and 90% of disability. If you have that, it's a $400. They can go up to, $1,000 if they're 100% disabled. It's $1,250 if they're, have like a paraplegic situation. It can go up to a full exemption of the entire tax bill for a residential tax bill, what we would call a 22D, and we do have some in town. And it's because of, a death of the spouse because of Agent Orange or some type of, I know it used to be Agent Orange specific, but now with the Municipal Modernization Act in 2017, they have widened that a little bit. And, any type of, I'm not sure of all the qualifications, and then that would be something we would talk to our veterans agent, Mike, about. Or, like I said, there are a lot with the veterans, so it's tough to remember them all off the top of my head. But the veterans are more extensive, and, there's a lot of different options and different qualification factors. So
oh, sorry, Randy. Counselor.
I was gonna say, I hope I answered that well enough.
That was great. Thank you.
Go ahead, JP.
Thank you. Just following up on Councillor Flood and Councillor Rothschild's questions. If couple points, if you're looking for places to go, I think the Easthampton Senior Center. I know if there aren't already leaflets or flyers detailing some of the exemptions and whatever information can kind of go in a small packet, that certainly would be helpful. A presentation at the Senior Center would be helpful. It would be helpful to coordinate. Councilor Flood, you may be able to help us with this at Easthampton Media, but that should be filmed and put out over the cable channel. In my opinion, I think that would be very helpful for folks. The other point was that if we're doing this, I don't know if timing is important, but it would be nice any 60 days to have this information come out 60 days before any deadlines that come up for being able to file. Oh, if you don't file by February 1st, you're going to miss it. So it'd be helpful December 1st to have the information out there in the public forum, I think on the cable channel. The other point I wanted to bring up was, I don't know if anyone's listening, but when we interviewed from the appointments committee, Randy Austin, we knew he was good. I think, Randy, you can be put up against any assessor in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. So thank you for joining us.
Well, I appreciate that. Thanks. And I don't know if I go up against all of them, but there's some I probably would. So anyway, you had mentioned, I was thinking about it, July 1st is the qualification date for all of these. And that's, anytime after July 1st, we can receive an application and still have it apply to the fiscal year up until 90 days past when the first actual tax bill comes out, which is January 1st. So they've got 90 days. So really up till April 1st of 2022, we'll be able to accept applications for these. So if there is anyone in the public watching, or we can try and do some more outreach. And if we have anyone else that's going to qualify, they're not out of luck just because we're having the classification hearing. They have until April 1st to still qualify for that benefit.
Okay, we have some more questions, Randy. You're just generating so many questions here. Councilor Riss.
First, I want to echo what Councilor Kozinski said. This is fantastic, Randy, and I'm happy you're on board. I want the public to know, and I want you to correct me if I'm wrong, the DOR sets the maximum we are allowed to set for these exemptions. We are not allowed to increase, say, the senior exemption beyond $1,000. That's the maximum allowed per household, depending on income. And I believe Easthampton has maxed out on all of these to the extent that we can. Am I correct on that, Randy?
I think so. There are some, and what it would take an act of the council, and it's something that would have to be adopted if we wanted to change either the income or asset limits or the amount of the exemption. So
If that's true, I am going to make it my personal task to find out what they are. If the city of Easthampton can still increase exemptions, this isn't a lot of people. And so everybody knows when we give an exemption out, it means that exemption, that $1,000 has to be spread over the rest of the taxpayers, but it's not a lot. And if we're going to help, say, a disabled veteran, if we're not maxed out, I'd like to find out where we're not on any of these exemptions, and whatever we have to do by ordinance or whatever, I'd like to find that out. Thank you, Randy. I may be in touch.
all right, sounds good.
Mayor LaChapelle?
Thank you, President Coniff. When we're talking about communication and getting these things out, I just want to again put it out there with the website. There's Notify Me, and folks can sign up for texts from a wide variety of departments and notification. It's like Code Red. We're making that more and more, trying to get the word out about that, but it would be, I understand the website, you know, maybe not a lot of people get their news or info, but subscribing to that text service, it comes right to your phone. It is very friendly to many different groups in the city. And this is something that we could put out literally tomorrow on a link or reminders on deadlines around assessments or whatnot. So I just want to keep putting that out there.
Thanks, Mayor. Councilor Peak.
I hope I don't sound like too much of a curmudgeon here. I just wanted to point out that what is on our agenda as a public hearing is talking about the tax assessment. I think these are incredibly important issues, but the public was not notified we would be discussing them. So we should discuss them, but maybe we stay on topic. Just my suggestion.
Thank you, Councilor Peak. You're hired. My personal assistant. Okay, Randy, anything else talking about the tax classification?
Just a little bit more. So we're going to get into the comparisons now. And I just had put this together, and just so everyone knows, this is something I'm going to make available. This whole presentation will be on the website, and people will be able to take a look at it, not just the counselors, but the public also. So I looked around budget-wise and was trying to find towns that were comparable, and what I came up with were these, what I felt were the closest. Belchertown, Greenfield, South Hadley, and Wilbraham are very close in size and in budget to our town. And so this is showing the total single family homes by comparison. And then I'm trying to stay along the same type of things. Let me see, that's the wrong slide. That was supposed to be at the end. Anyway, this is an average single family home. So we had the total value, but now these are the average single family home values between comparing us to other towns. Some in, one is in Hampshire, or pardon me, Hamden, 2 in Hampshire, and 1 in Franklin, or 3 in Hampshire. So average single family values and how we compare to these other towns. And then tax bills wise, how do we compare to these other towns? And this is the average single family tax bill. And then a tax rate history. And this is where we're at tax rate wise. So when we're looking at these other communities, it seems as though we're not doing too bad because our tax rate is a little bit lower. And then I had found that one last, I inserted this just today, and I was going to have it at the end, but somehow it slipped into the middle. But this is our historical tax rate from 2003 to 2021. And, you know, did just a line chart to show where it has gone in all that time. And so It was great to share this with you. Again, it will be available to the public through the website. I'm going to make sure that I have it up there. But really what we're here to talk about is the residential factor that we're going to adopt, and whether we wanted to have, the residential open space or small commercial exemption, which the board is recommending against. And the residential factor of 1 is what we would recommend, which is a single tax rate as opposed to a split tax rate, which would be a different percentage.
Madam President, I wanted to clarify something. Just what Randy just said, we are establishing the classification and a single tax rate. We are not setting the tax rate tonight.
Correct.
The tax rate is set by the Board of Assessors based on a lot of information, including values.
Correct.
Which is why this information that Randy presented tonight, in my view, is very valuable to the public, and I hope they look at it on the website, because I know the assessors always get phone calls, why did my taxes go up? And I believe the more information and more transparency we can give them, at least they will have intelligent answers and information. So I thank you, Randy.
Okay, relative to that, anyone from the council, one last call on questions, and then I'll open it up to the public. Anyone, Councilor Flood?
I hate to be the rebel rouser here, but did Councilor Riss just basically explain that tax rates are going to probably go up based on the
No,
I'm just
absolutely
asking the
not.
question. So
We are not talking about tax rates in any scenario this evening.
So
Nope.
well, no,
That-
other question for the public would be
I
when
understand, but that's not part of this discussion, and that would be veering into open meeting violations to talk about the tax rate. This is tax classification only.
can I ask when the Board of Assessors meets for the public?
Randy?
Our usual meetings are the 2nd and 4th Tuesday of every month.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay, anyone from the public who'd like to make a comment on the tax classification tonight? Seeing none. Councilor Riss.
I'll make a motion, and I apologize, Councilor Flood, I was never expressing that we were setting anything about tax rate. We are talking about classification. I move that the city of Easthampton set a factor of 1 for the fiscal year 2022 tax rate, keeping a single tax rate for all classes of property, and to not grant an open space discount, nor a residential exemption, nor a commercial exemption, as recommended by the Board of Assessors.
Second.
Motion is second to set a tax classification of 1, I believe is what Dan just said. Any further discussion? Barbara?
Salem Derby,
Aye.
Erica Flood,
Aye.
Omar Gomez,
Aye.
JP Kaczynski,
Aye.
Tom Peak,
Aye.
Dan Rist,
Aye.
Lindsay Rothschild,
Hi.
Owen Zaret,
Yes.
Peg Coniff.
Aye. Motion passes. Councilor Rist.
So the next item on the agenda is a supplemental appropriation for $2 million from free cash to general capital and tax rate stabilization funds. Let me just find that. I apologize. I have it. We are giving $1,200,000 from free cash. We are appropriating, I didn't mean giving, to from free cash to general stabilization. Also appropriating $500,000 to capital stabilization and $300,000 to tax rate stabilization. To explain to the public, stabilization accounts are our savings accounts, our rainy day accounts. By having exceptional funds in these accounts, we are creating a stable fiscal environment for the city and a profile for people for the bonding agencies, which is why our bonding rate is high. They know we have the money to pay our debts. Once this is done, for the council's information, In general stabilization, after this appropriation, we will have a total of $4,511,903. After the $500,000 in capital stabilization, we will have an amount of $2,464,374. I also want to point out the tax rate stabilization of $300,000. This is designed to reduce taxes that are created by our bonding, especially for the new school. The mayor has tripled that this year, up to $300,000, and I am grateful for that. I'm ready to answer any questions. The Finance Committee did approve this 3-0.
Any comments from the counselors? Counselor Peak.
I apologize for not knowing this off the top of my head, but what is our current free cash balance?
Well, after this, we'll have a little under 2 million. We had 4 million something.
Okay.
When we had it given to us just recently.
Great. Yeah, I don't know how that went over my head, but I appreciate you for catching me up.
Okay.
And this sounds sensible to me.
Yeah, and just so you guys are aware, I believe this was in the packet, that the total free cash as of the writing was 4.02 million. And
Million, yes.
it would be 2.02 million-ish. Okay, anyone else? Okay, anyone from the public have any comments on this supplemental appropriation? Okay, Councilor Rist.
I'll make a motion. I move that the City Council approve a supplemental appropriation. The amount requested is $2 million to be appropriated from free cash, $2 million to general stabilization account, $1,200,000 to the capital stabilization account, $500,000, and to the tax rate stabilization account, $300,000 for the following purpose: to fund general stabilization to provide stability in the current environment, to fund capital stabilization to meet capital needs, and to fund tax rate stabilization to help reduce the impact of debt exclusions on the tax rate.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve the supplemental appropriation of $2 million from free cash to general stabilization, capital stabilization, and tax rate stabilization. Any further discussion? Barbara.
Erica Flood,
Aye.
Omar Gomez,
Aye.
JP Kaczynski,
Aye.
Tom Peak.
Aye.
Dan Rist,
Aye.
Lindsay Rothschild,
Hi.
Owen Zaret,
Yes.
Peg Coniff,
Aye.
Salem Derby.
Aye.
Motion passes. Okay, is that it, Councilor Rist?
Yes, Madam President.
Councilor Derby.
Thank you, Madam President. So we have an item that has been with us for a decent amount of time now. And I never thought I'd spend so much time in my life thinking about plastic. But as you know, we had a plastic ordinance that passed, and we had some amendments to it. And I hope everybody knows, because we've been working on this for, at this point, years. At this point, which is the fact that we're in kind of a plastic crisis. Our oceans are choking on plastic. Recently, I did the source to sea cleanup with the Connecticut River Conservancy, and at our pond behind the mills, the main piece of trash that I was picking up was plastic straws and plastic lids and plastic cups that people had, left and that had caught in the wind and blown around. And so, the point of the ordinance was to try to do what we can to minimize the impact of this. And as we all unanimously passed the climate emergency piece, this does play into that, as petrochemicals are used to make these plastics, and these plastics then choke our environment, and that's a bad thing. So one of the sticking points, actually there was three things that we're going to address tonight. And so we have one which is about a straw by request. We also have one which is about a variance, some variance language. So if a business needs to get out of the straw requirement, they can, and also a revised timeline. So I'd like to start with the plastic straw by request piece, if that's all right. Okay, so plastic straws by request was something that we originally put in. It was brought forward. I think it was Ordinance Review Committee had flagged this as potentially being problematic for people who have disabilities that would require them to use a straw. And so we went back to the drawing board. And I think that was a good process for us. It was a long process, but it was something that really pushed our envelope of doing the due diligence and making sure that we got this right. And hearing a lot of voices out there that were able to contribute to the final product that we are putting forward tonight. I will say that as it relates to straw by request, we are in pretty decent company. Multiple states have passed straw by request. It's very similar language to what we passed. Let me just see if I can pull up. I think it's California, Oregon, Rhode Island, Vermont, New York City, as we start looking at cities, Somerville and Melrose. And these are basically straw by request is if you need to have a straw, you can request a straw, no questions asked. And why is this important? I think that it's highlighted every time you go out to eat. If you get a drink, for example, I like to order seltzer water with lime. And, that's one of my preferred drinks. And when I finish my drink, oftentimes a waitress will bring me a new one. And so at some restaurants, I will end up, if I drink 3 seltzer waters, I'll end up with 3 plastic straws that are going to go into the landfill and potentially end up in waterways. And that's not great. So it would be great for me to be able to say to the person, if I need a straw, hey, can I have a straw with that? And not have the straw be the default, because the straw being the default is an environmental issue for all of us. And so, we wanted to make sure that we were not going to put anybody in a position where they were disclosing anything about themselves. Anybody that wants a straw will have to ask, regardless of their disability status, regardless of their height, regardless of their weight, any marker, it doesn't matter. If you want a straw, you'd have to ask for it. The only kind of caveat to that is within our ordinance, we allowed for straw dispensers, so someone could self-service a straw. So they wouldn't necessarily have to ask somebody if they wanted a straw or not. They could just take one if they wanted one. And this, I think one of the kind of anecdotal pieces that kind of plays into this is Tandem, which is a local business, has had this policy for a couple of years now, and they haven't had any issues with people feeling like they are, overly burdened by it, or when they order their food, having to ask for a straw with their drink. And so that is, besides the fact that we voted this out of committee, we actually voted all 3 of these out of committee 3-0. I'm happy to field any questions or see if anybody has any thoughts on this at this point. Okay. So if there's nothing on that, I can move on to the other 2 pieces, which are relatively simple. So the variance piece is just basically updating the language. So, and I think this actually is something that Councilor Gomez brought up was, what if there is a business that need, like boba tea, where they have like those like tapiocas that wouldn't fit in a normal straw, and you might not be able to find. So if you needed a variance, this basically codifies the language, the variance language, so a business like that would not be overly burdened by this restriction and could still continue in business. So that's that piece. And then the final piece is the timeline, which would be to extend the timeline for 1 year from the date of passage to allow for whatever pieces need to fall into place to make this happen. And so that's really the long and short of it. And I don't know if anybody has any questions.
Anyone from the council have any questions? Councilor Riss.
First, I'd like to extend my thanks to the Ordinance Committee, Councilor Derby, Councilor Zaret, Councilor Peak, because this has been a long time, hard work for you plastic is a serious problem. And obviously, we found out there's a lot of complicated issues surrounding it. And I thank you for the hard work on this. This is what we do. We legislate, we try to improve the quality of life, and in this case, the quality of the environment. So I just wanted to thank you because I know there was some controversy in the past, but we've gotten over that, and this is great. Thank you very much.
Councilor Rothschild.
Yeah, I just wanted to thank this committee also for taking the time to really look into it. It's kind of like if you give a mouse a cookie, you know, if you have young kids, you know that story. Just one thing leads to another. But I think the things that I see really is improving here is that one thing is that the people working the establishment, they can offer the straw. And I also agree that they should not just be giving straws, because a lot of this is going to happen in drive-throughs. We keep talking about tandem, but let's be real. Probably a lot of the straws are given out at Burger King, McDonald's, Cumberland. And if you're going through a drive-through and you didn't know that you had to ask for it and then you're gone, that's going to be difficult. So at least it gives the people at those establishments, they can say, do you want one, instead of just giving it to everybody. I also appreciate that we can have them on the counters so people can take it if they want. And I think that this helps. I think the way the ordinance is written now, it will help educate the businesses as to why they need to have them on hand. And it just gives more information. And also it just, it just makes it more user-friendly for everyone. So thank you for your hard work. I know that it went down the mouse gives a cookie rabbit hole.
Yeah, great. Thank you.
Else? Anyone from the public who has any comments on this? Not seeing any.
Okay, so I would like to move that we amend the city ordinances, chapter 6, section 6-21 of single-use plastic bags and disposable food containers to address the single-use plastic straws variance by the Board of Health in time to comply with the ordinance.
Second.
Motion and a second to amend section 6-21 prohibition of single-use plastic bags and disposable food containers to amend the single use of plastic straws. Any further discussion? Councilor Zaret? Isn't this yours?
What's that?
Isn't this your amendment?
It is. I just wanted to give a thanks to the council and the ordinance committee for and those who brought concerns forward for really allowing us to really take a deep dive into a really significant topic here and the cross section between being ecologically responsible and making sure we're being mindful of people with disabilities. So thank you to everyone. It was a really interesting discussion.
Okay. Barbara.
Omar Gomez,
Aye.
JP Kaczynski,
Aye.
Tom Peak.
Aye.
Dan Rist,
Aye.
Lindsay Rothschild,
Aye.
Owen Zaret,
Yes.
Peg Coniff,
Aye.
Salem Derby,
Aye.
Erica Flood.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Madam
Thank you.
President, I move the public hearings be closed.
Second.
Motion and second to close the public hearings. Any further discussion? Barbara.
JP Kaczynski,
Aye.
Tom Peak,
Aye.
Dan Rist,
Aye.
Lindsay Rothschild,
Aye.
Owen Zaret,
Yes.
Peg Coniff,
Aye.
Salem Derby,
Aye.
Erica Flood,
Aye.
Omar Gomez.
Aye.
Public hearing is now closed. We'll move back to, I think we were in the middle of communication from elected officials, boards and committees, and we were about to talk about the New City Neighborhood Walk Shop with Jeff Bagg. So Jeff, do you want to give us and I think Erica Flood also wanted to have a comment about this as well. So Jeff, if you want to give us a brief informational update on this, thanks.
Yep,
I'll
thank
share
you.
my time with Jeff if he needs a few more.
Yeah, and I would like to add Erica in this. Yeah, we're just trying to invite people to an event we're doing on Saturday from 12 to 2 in New City. So it's on Parsons Street, and we're going to be meeting at the small park at the corner of Parsons and Federal. It's a really important project for us. So we're using community development block grant funds to get community input, and we're trying to do it where people live. And the more people who participate in this, the better. We sent out mailers, postcard mailers to over 400 residents in that neighborhood to try to invite them to the meeting. Luckily, we did make contact with the Gazette, so I think the Gazette's going to run an article either tomorrow or Friday. So we're trying to do everything we can to kind of do the outreach. For people who cannot make it, we have a web page, which is our easthamptonma.gov/new city, and there's a questionnaire that's available. So Erica lives in that neighborhood, and anyone that we're talking to, it's going to be available till like mid-December. But we're trying to ask them what kind of amenities do they want to see. So there's two small park opportunities there. Things like accessibility, sidewalk condition, roadway condition, lighting, and then we are going to be looking underground. And so it's a common misconception that everyone knows the condition of the water and sewer lines, and we don't. That area is one of our oldest neighborhoods. So it's really important for us to gather all this information. The goal is that we're going to build out plans to solve problems and then we have funding. So this is one of the unique things where in this neighborhood, we can use community development block grant funds. So like other projects where we can lay out a multi-year set of projects, we're talking 5 to 10 years, but we can solve a huge portion of potential infrastructure problems with this. And while I have everyone, the consultants are doing a lot of different types of things. So people have seen people out in the neighborhood. They're usually wearing yellow vests and stuff, but next week they're going to do what's called smoke tests. So it's not fire or anything, but it's a way for them to send smoke into the water and sewer lines. And if there's smoke coming out where you don't expect it, it's indicative of a hole or a leak or something. So we are going to do hopefully the code red system for that next week. But we've done this in other neighborhoods, but sometimes it catches people off guard. So there's a flyer in your packet, and just hoping that people can come out. We're going to walk around and try to just engage people and talk about stuff. So it's just an exciting opportunity for us to do that. So I think with that, Erica, do you want to add in? Erica's our resident, she lives in that neighborhood, and we've been trying to just get in touch with people as much as we can.
Yep. Yeah, Erica, go ahead.
Well, I'll just add, I will be knocking on some doors in the neighborhood, passing out flyers, just encouraging people to come out and join in the discussion. I definitely have fielded some emails from residents in the New City area over the last several months. And, there's concerns about traffic, there's concerns about infrastructure. And I just want to stress that this is our chance to join in the conversation. So let's get off of Facebook, let's get in person, let's mask up and take a walk. There will be warm refreshments being served. And so looking forward to seeing folks. And I just want to thank Jeff and everybody in the city planning office for just taking the time and the energy to address some of these issues and get the ball rolling on these projects. It's incredibly important. So thank you, and looking forward to seeing people on Saturday.
That's great. And again, it's this Saturday from 12 to 2. And tell me again where this will be held.
Yep. So on Parsons Street, there's a small park with a small playground at the corner of Parsons and Federal. There's the Valley Bike Share location, which I'll put a quick plug in. They're going to be there too, talking to people about the bikes. People can ride the bikes, and a lot of people are eligible for free passes. And so we've tried to get them there too for people to learn about the bikes too. So we did have a rain date, but it looks like the weather's good. So I think we are sticking with Saturday, but if it all of a sudden changes and it's going to be terrible weather, the rain date's the next day.
Okay. That sounds
just
good.
Another landmark. It's directly adjacent to the old Parsons Street School, which is now Parsons Place. So out in the front of there.
Okay. And Erica, that's that plot of land we've been talking about for a couple of years, right? That right in that little area there that could be a park, might not be a park.
No, not yet. This one is officially a park. There's a swing set there and the bikes are there. So we're meeting near the bikes. There's another plot of land behind Parsons.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So see you near the bikes on Saturday, and maybe you can take a free ride even.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jeff. Thanks, Erica. Okay. Counselor, actually, were there any other counselors that had anything else to talk about? I know Counselor Rist has some business he needs to conduct right now. Anything else? Okay, Counselor Rist.
So there are two items under new business, which unless counselors object, can be dealt with tonight at first reading. One is the reservation road land grant correction, and I'll let Jeff explain that. And the other one is the Safe Routes to School letter of support, which is, to me, a no-brainer. If no one objects, we would like to get those done this evening. So first up is the motion needs to be corrected. You want to do a brief summary of that, Jeff?
Yes. I believe, I was just trying to look, I believe it's in the packet.
Yes, it is.
So I think we're in a flurry of activity with Reservation Road, so we're successful. We got the land grant. The city council voted to appropriate funds, which was really important. And in the lead up to that, there was a motion that we had drafted. It's long, and it was in the original packet. And then I think out of the interest of time and maybe some confusion on my part, but we kind of lopped it off and we did the appropriation votes. And when we submitted to do the contracting with the state, they really wanted this motion to be voted. And it does, thank you. It does, all the base information is the same. We're talking about the same property. We tweaked this line where the mayor is authorized to seek, raise, and borrow. So that was the thing that caused the flag at the end of the last meeting, and we struck that. So it's basically acknowledging that we and appropriate from CPA and available funds. So the total amount, which we've already done that vote, under the Commonwealth Massachusetts Land Program, and then it was really the preceding couple MGLs and the chapters, which is what sets it aside permanently protected as open space. And so the grant administrator said that we needed to have this vote on the record. So that's the request, is to see if council will kind of just make this motion again and vote on this language. The money has already been appropriated, so this is more just affirming that we're getting the land grant and then it's permanently protected.
So, Jeff, I'm a little confused. It says to see if the city of Easthampton will vote. Am I supposed to make a motion that says the city council votes to acquire 5 parcels, or should I read that exactly as it is? Do you see it on the screen?
This is what happened last time. This language went to the grant administrator at the state and she said, looks good. So my advice, if possible, would be to read this, because
absolutely. I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah.
A little confusing. Does any counselor object to me moving this?
I'm not seeing any.
So I will move to see if the city of Easthampton will vote to acquire 5 parcels of land consisting of approximately 5.52 plus acres located along Reservation Road, Easthampton, Massachusetts, described as Assessor's Map 147, Parcel 33.2, Parcel 33.3, Parcel 33.4, Parcel 33.5, Parcel 33.6, and shown as lots 2-6 on a plan of land recorded in Book 218, page 101 of the Hampshire County Registers of Deeds, parentheses, Reservation Road property, end parentheses, that said Reservation Road property be acquired and owned in fee simple by the city of Easthampton and managed and controlled by the Conservation Commission of the city of Easthampton in accordance with Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 40, Section 8C, for conservation and passive recreation purposes, and to appropriate from the Community Preservation Act Fund annual revenues or available funds as necessary the sum of $367,100 to pay the cost of the acquisition of the property, that the Conservation Commission or any other city agency with the mayor's prior approval be authorized to file on behalf of the city any and all applications deemed necessary for grants and or reimbursements under the Commonwealth of Massachusetts Land Program as deemed necessary under MGL Chapter 132A, Section 11, and the city and the Conservation Commission with the mayor's prior approval be authorized to enter into all agreements and execute any and all instruments, including the conveyance of a perpetual conservation restriction on the property to the Kestrel Land Trust or any other organization qualified and willing to hold such a restriction in accordance with MGL Chapter 184 as required by Section 12A of Chapter 44B or Chapter 293, Section 10 of the Acts of 1998 as amended, as may be necessary on behalf of the city of Easthampton to effect said acquisition of the property.
Second,
Motion and a second for the land grant and reservoir road acquisition motion. Any further discussion? Barbara?
Tom Peak.
Aye.
Dan Rist,
Aye.
Lindsay Rothschild,
Aye.
Owen Zaret,
Yes.
Peg Coniff,
Aye.
Salem Derby. Salem.
Did we lose it?
Aye.
Or Erica Flood,
Aye.
Omar Gomez,
Aye.
JP Kuzinski.
JP?
JP.
I said aye. Did you not hear?
No, we didn't hear you.
Okay.
Motion passes.
The second item is the Safe Routes to School, and I'll let you, Jeff, talk about it a little bit. It's basically a letter of support. I think we all support Safe Routes to Schools, so the president and I would like to get this handled this evening unless there's council objection. Jeff, my only thing is I'm not gonna read this entire paragraph because it's in the package. I mean, this entire letter. I'm only gonna say that the city council hereby approves this in a motion, if that's okay with you. Hello, Jeff.
I think that'll be sufficient if everyone is agreeable and
What I have up is the letter, so everybody can see it, that we're gonna approve, and I guess the president will sign.
yeah. And so just quick introduction is it's not required for the grant, but I did want to put this in front of the city council because I think as we transfer all of our students into the new school, I think we are all going to be involved with that's a big transformational project for the city. And over the past several years in particular, we've been really focused on trying to explore these alternative routes. We started with the high level view in 2018, 2019 with the Conway School, and we've kind of been getting closer and closer to at least one route that we really want to focus on as one of the main routes and upgrading it for bikes and pedestrians. It covers a lot. There is a map, but the route that we are looking at now is Park Street. So it's existing street, it's a right of way, there's existing sidewalks, but they are in pretty rough shape. They're narrow and they're not ADA compliant. And in a lot of cases, in some cases, particularly close to the school there, it's basically sidewalk right on the edge of curb, and the vehicles travel pretty fast on Park Street. So the idea is to enhance the safety of that through the Safe Routes program. Mass DOT process is extensive. And so what we're eager to do is make this application. We are working with a landscape architecture firm out of Northampton, and they've been working with us for quite a while. They did also worked with us on the Mount Tom Trail project to come up with a preliminary cost estimate and a preliminary concept design that weaves the sidewalk. The goal is wider. Technically, it would be called a side path, and the target is 10 feet wide, and with some kind of buffer separation from Park Street. Many of us travel Park Street a lot. It's got design issues. There's topography, there's trees, and then there's right-of-way constraints. But the nature of the Mass DOT process is that if you are successful in getting awarded, they bring you through a full design process that will take all of 4 years. So we're really not talking about an actual shovel in the ground until 2024 or 2025. But realizing that the school is opening next spring, this is a really important opportunity for us to try. And actually coming out of infrastructure bill discussions and more money that's coming down the pike, Safe Routes to Schools is mentioned in some of that program. So we want to be in the queue with this project because there's others that we're going to need to pursue as well. I do want to say that there will likely be city costs, city funds along the way, but it's just simply not known at this time. So the city is responsible for covering the cost of utility relocation, any kind of right of way. So if we needed to take, 4 feet of property from someone, they would be compensated at fair market value, and so we would pay for that. The thing that makes us super desirable, in my opinion, professionally speaking, is that Mass DOT covers all the design costs and services. So whereas the council has seen some of those cost estimates and costs for Union Street, we're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of consultants to bring the project all the way through design. And the Safe Routes to School program covers that. It's part of the grant award. So I've been to the school committee with this, and they voted unanimously to support it. I've been to the Manhattan Rail Trail Committee, and they voted, to support this. And we're working on the application. It's due December 1st. So that's why I was asking for hopefully the council to consider approving the letter tonight. I'm sure there's questions and that's fine. There's a map too in the packet, but I'll stop and listen to any questions.
Councilor Peak?
I support this. I think it's awesome. One question is there any plans in terms of a similar thing for the folks on the other side of the pond, the folks in my precinct or Councilor Gomez's precinct who, it's just sort of like they face their own sort of issues in terms of safe travels to school outside of the Park Street corridor?
I don't know if you're referring to Holyoke Street, but that that neighborhood. But I failed to mention a pretty critical piece, which is that when you looked at the map, what we're going to do, eventually, whether it's this grant in this round, if we don't get it, we're going to continue to try. But basically, connecting the rail trail to Park Street. So there's an opportunity to, if we can make a viable connection from the rail trail to Park Street, and then you run the line up Park Street, we are kind of making this equal opportunity for someone on the opposite side of town, especially those who can get on the rail trail. So some of our oldest neighborhoods, we're talking about Parsons Street in that area, you can get to the rail trail. And if you think about like Pleasant Green neighborhood, we've been making improvements, and those neighborhoods can get to the rail trail. And if you can do that, then you can get to this safer route to the school. And so that's the pitch. There was a map that shows sort of a catchment area of our student address map. We don't know who the students are or anything about them, but we have a map that shows like all these little dots where students live. And we can open up a new opportunity for like 33% of our student population to access the school via the rail trail in this path. Big picture, Tom, there's going to be many of these types of projects that we need to do, but capacity is kind of a real issue. So we're targeting the Park Street corridor as the first. So the first of several, I would say, but this is kind of potentially an immense undertaking. And so the way we maximize it is to make this connection to the rail trail. And then I think the Rail Trail Committee and others have talked about making other connections to the rail trail, so that, that's the first order of business.
Okay.
Anything else? Any other questions? Okay.
Madam President, I'll make a motion, but first I wanted to say that I would like to sign this document, and I'd like Barbara to prepare it with council letterhead so that we can all sign it. I believe having 9 signatures on it will have more impact. So if that's all right with you, can we instruct the clerk to do that?
Yes, I actually thought that's what we were going to do. So
Okay.
I'm in full support of that.
I make a motion that the city council send a letter of support for the city's application for the 2021 Safe Routes to School Infrastructure Grant Program for the Park Street corridor.
Second.
Second.
Motion is second for the city council to approve a letter of support for the city's application for the 2021 Infrastructure Grant Program. Any further discussion? Barbara.
Dan Rist,
Aye.
Lindsay Rothschild,
Aye.
Owen Zaret,
Yes.
Peg Coniff,
Aye.
Salem Derby,
Aye.
Erica Flood,
Aye.
Omar Gomez,
Aye.
JP Kaczynski,
Yes.
Tom Peak.
Okay, motion passes.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jeff. Yeah, yes, Jeff.
It's a point of order question. I'm really sorry. Hadel, I think there was a question about whether the revolving account, the DPW revolving account, was that up for?
We're going to do that under a finance committee
Perfect.
discussion
Very soon.
very soon. Okay, that's it for the communication from elected officials and such. And now we will move on to communication from the mayor. Mayor LaChapelle.
No communication.
All right, well, that solves that. And we will then go into reports of standing committees, and we'll start with Finance Council Risk. You're on mute. Still on mute. Let me see if I can unmute you. Dan? Dan? Are you unable to unmute?
No, I'm just talking without realizing that I was muted.
Okay, go ahead.
Before we get into the revolving account, I will just wanted to thank our auditor for presenting last night a very good report on our first quarter revenues, and they are available. I think she sent them to everybody. If not, Hadel, please send them to the city council. Your report was excellent, and it did show that our revenues are right on target for this year. Some are actually at 100%. So I'm very, very happy with that, and I want to thank her for that action, for that report last night. Also, we had a report on our federal funding. We had a little from Jen Gallant, our treasurer. Again, that report should be sent to everybody if it hasn't already been, Jen. But I wanted to thank you for that. And we did learn a lot about FEMA funding, which is one aspect of federal funding we've received so far. And the CARES Act funding, we're saving money in the CARES Act funding, something like $200,000, in case FEMA says no to some of our applications. The amount of work necessary for our city to access these funds and account for them is extraordinary. And I'm very thankful the mayor decided to allow for the treasurer's office to have assistance in this area. And it's only going to get worse with the new American Rescue Act funding, as well as the infrastructure funding. So as much as we like getting money, we need to remember our city finance crew is doing a tremendous job making sure that when the state or the feds want to audit us, we're up to snuff. So thank you both very much. If any of you have questions on that you those reports, I'm sure the treasurer or the auditor can answer them. If you would like to get those reports, I'm not sure if they were sent to everybody, but I hope they were. Now I'd like to go into, I'm going to share the screen on the revolving account. Whoops, I have to do that first. I apologize, I'm finding it. This is the revolving account. As you recall, by the way, the Finance Committee approved this 3-0. As you recall, last year we approved adopting a revolving fund. And if I say something wrong, Jeff, just chime in, or Hadel. The fund is to allow us to spend up to $20,000 of any funds we are allowed to put into this account from electric vehicle charging. When we charge a fee for that, we can use these funds and spend to pay for electricity and also to pay for Valley Bike Share maintenance or electric vehicle charging station maintenance and fees for that. We are required by law to set a cap every fiscal year, or we will lose the ability to have this account. We did not do it at the budget session in June for fiscal year 2022. I believe it was because, correct me if I'm wrong, Hadel, we wanted to make sure to get a little record on how these charges were piling up. In any case, we must do this before this spending can occur. We must do it every year, the fiscal year 2022 cap. So I'll make a motion to approve this. Jeff and Hadel, did I state everything correctly? Either one of you?
Adel's on the call too. I mean, I think the only thing that we mentioned during finance was that this is just the cap, so there's no actual appropriation being requested right now. That'll come, you know, in a couple months. So I think that was important. This is like what Hadel would talk about, is just setting the cap at this point.
Yeah, we have to have a cap or we can't even do it. So it's basically a requirement of law.
Yes, so if we don't set this cap, DOR will legally close this account once tax rate is done. So then we have to redo the whole thing of adopting the account and setting the cap rate and put some more money into the account. So by doing this, we will by doing this, DOR will let us carry this account moving forwards, but this has no monetary transaction into the account. If there is more need for money, then Jeff has to come back to City Council to ask for more money, and his initial appropriation can go up to $20,000 only. If for any reason we find that we need more money to spend due to any XYZ expenses, in that case, again, Jeff and Mia have to come back to City Council to ask to raise the cap limit.
So essentially, can I just ask a question? So essentially, we are generating revenue from the electric vehicle charging stations. Yes?
Yes.
Fair. From that enormous amount of money that we're bringing in, which is not that much, we're saying that we can take money from that revenue up to $20,000 a year and spend down the expenses to provide for that revenue. So the electricity that we use for those cars, is that what we're saying here? So we could make revenue beyond 20,000?
No, what we are saying is there is revenue and there is expense.
Right.
Revenue is generated from the EV charging station.
Correct.
But because we are at the beginning of the phase, we are not making as much as revenue, which we should be making.
Correct.
However, there are expenses to keep these charging stations running.
Correct.
The way this account is set up under Mass General Law, we have to put a cap of 20,000. Though at this point, not necessary that we have $20,000 as a revenue, but our spending limit is 20,000. We are telling Jeff that, nope, you can't spend more than that because this is like taking a risk, and we are putting our $20,000 on uncollected at this point. The revenue is not there, but city is making a kind of investment with an anticipation that in near future, we will recover this money through the EV charging station.
Okay, you said it better than I did. Go ahead, Jeff.
Yeah.
This is just, you know, because we will be back. So, you know, I'm here as a team with DPW to kind of shepherd this through. You know, this started with the fact that the EVs generate revenue, and we just wanted to be able to try to pay the electric bills with that. And so that was the initial kind of idea, and then it resulted in creating this revenue. I mean, this revolving account to be able to do that. You know, when we were before the council with this, Councilor Kuzinski, I remember, was asking like really specific questions. So we'll be coming back with an appropriation request with some details to show what the EV chargers have generated as revenue. But the couple of things I just wanted to share is that I think we'll always need money in this account to support the initiatives that we have here. So the Valley Bike Share is not a generator, it's not a revenue generator. So there will always be costs associated with that. And so we will, you know, ideally it would end up as a line item in either DPW or planning's budget eventually. once we get kind of a better sense of what this looks like. But I just wanted to be honest that we will be back, for money to put in this account. But when Hadel and I looked at the numbers and looked at the past year, we don't think it'll exceed 20,000. And one of the bigger expenses that has occurred over the past 2 years is to participate in Valley Bike as part of the region. They've started to assess a $6,000 annual fee for each community. And so that has come, the planning department has paid that out of one-time funds for the first 2 years. For the first 2 years. And we would like to have that, paid out of this. And so I'll be coming with Greg in a couple months with a request for funds and an explanation of what the EVs have cost us, what they've generated revenue. But unfortunately, there's one glitch that we didn't know about the EVs is that they do generate revenue, but as the use goes up, there's a demand charge from Eversource, and it takes a bill that's normally $30 a month for electricity. And if we hit a certain demand, then it jumps to like $120 a month for that month for electricity costs. So there's discussions going on amongst a lot of communities to cut that demand fee out, because it makes it wildly unpredictable. And it's just not, with that kind of fee, and we're making $40 a month, it'll never pay for itself. I just wanted to kind of be honest with that, and we'll come forward with an appropriation with more details. I don't have the details now, but that will come next.
Okay. Thank you. Councilor Rist?
Okay, if there's no more questions, I'll make a motion. I move that the city council cap the Department of Public Works revolving fund spending for electric vehicle charging stations and bike share programs at $20,000 for fiscal year 2022, as per Mass General Law, Chapter 44, Section 53E and 1/2.
Second.
Motion and a second to set a cap for the EV charging stations for the revolving fund of the DPW. Any further discussion? Barbara?
Lindsay Rothschild,
Yes.
Owen Zaret,
Yes.
Peg Coniff,
Yes.
Salem Derby,
Aye.
Erica Flood,
Aye.
Omar Gomez,
Aye.
JP Kaczynski,
Yes.
Tom Peak,
Aye.
Dan Rist.
Aye.
Motion passes.
I have new business. Barbara, before I do this, you requested to know what public hearings would be set. I'm going to set a public hearing for all 4 of these. Are you prepared for that?
Yeah, yep.
Okay. I'm going to read as one single motion the following supplemental appropriations and new business. First is a supplemental appropriations for the UA grant deficit. The amount requested is $17,688.35 to be transferred from free cash, $17,688.35 to be transferred to the UA grant account, $17,688.35 for the following purpose: for the urban agenda grant deficit to city council in the amount of $17,688.35. This amount includes PO received to date in the audit department. The next one is a supplemental appropriation for the following for the library. The amount requested is $30,000 to be transferred from the Cannabis Stabilization Fund, $30,000 to be transferred to the library, $30,000. The amount requested will be used for the following purpose: resources and funding of the Emily Williston Memorial Library. The next supplemental appropriation is $5,000 to be transferred from free cash, $5,000 to be transferred to the Veterans District budget accounts, $5,000. The amount requested will be used for the following purpose: contract with the Northampton Veterans District for assistance recertifying the South Hadley Easthampton Veteran District clients, matching $5,000 provided by South Hadley. And the last one, forgive me, I gotta get to it. The following supplemental appropriation, the amount requested is $328,000, $771.50 to be transferred to the Cannabis Stabilization Fund, from the Cannabis Stabilization Fund to be transferred to the following accounts: 0.511 $39,294.96. 0.5142, $237,257.75. 0.5144, $18,186.33. 0.5151, $548.01. 5153, $22,814.35. And 5156, $10,670.10 for the following purpose: to provide funding for the additional cost of the FY22 to FY24 police union contract and for the payout of Sergeant Bruce Nichols' July 11th, 21 retirement. I make a motion for that all four of these be sent to the Finance Committee for review, and also that they be set for public hearing at our meeting, our first meeting in December, and I forget the date, December 3rd, I think.
First.
Okay, that's my motion.
Second.
Motion second to set a public hearing for the aforementioned supplemental appropriations and to send them all to the Finance Committee. Any further discussion? Barbara.
Owen Zaret,
Yes.
Peg Coniff,
Aye.
Salem Derby,
Aye.
Erica Flood,
Aye.
Omar Gomez,
Aye.
JP Kaczynski,
JP.
Aye.
Tom Peak,
Aye.
Dan Rist,
Aye.
Lindsay Rothschild.
Aye.
Okay.
Lastly, because of the upcoming holiday, we will not be meeting next Wednesday. We will meet on November 30th. That's Tuesday, Barbara, at 5 o'clock. I will send you an agenda tomorrow, Tuesday, November 30th, for these items. So we get them done before our, is that the correct date, November 30th?
Yes.
Okay, before we get to our meeting, we have to get these done. Thank you, Madam President. That concludes.
Thank you, Councilor Riss. Councilor Gomez, Public Safety.
Thank you, Madam President. We have a meeting last night and we started reviewing the Ordinance Review Committee final report. We make some progress, but we're still working on it. And that's one of the reasons we didn't set a meeting, our next meeting yet, because we want to invite people of the Disability Commission to come to our meeting. And we want to be sure that everybody can participate and have a conversation about the ordinances related to them. We have some, the other thing is South and Main Street, we're gonna keep it on the agenda, but publicly, as a committee, we wanna say thank you to DPW and the planning department because the progress that they're doing in South and Main Street is amazing. I think in the future we need more, but from what we start a couple years ago and the request that we make and that what we're going to see now, having the crosswalk fixed and everything and the sidewalks too, that will be amazing for the kids going to the school. So really thank you for DPW and the planning board department for that. And the last, we have a few new business and in the form of a motion. I want to move to review traffic rules and orders, the request by owner of 19 Womelco Way and presented by Councilor Sarret to review parking on that street. I want to make a motion to move it to our committee.
Second.
Motion is second to move the request for 19 Womelco Way parking study. Any further discussion? Okay, move that to Public Safety. Barbara?
Peg Coniff.
Aye.
Salem Derby,
Aye.
Erica Flood,
Aye.
Omar Gomez,
Aye.
JP Kaczynski, Tom Peak.
Aye.
Dan Rist,
Aye.
Lindsay Rothschild,
Aye.
Owen Zaret.
Yes.
Motion passes.
And it's another new item that is supposed to go to public safety. That was my fault. I introduced it, but I didn't present it with the proper introduction and to the council. So I will ask to keep it on the agenda as a new business, and we'll bring the reason why we need the quarterly report for the fire department to the next full city council meeting, because usually our meeting in police safety is the second Tuesday of the month. So that will give us enough time to do it. And that concludes.
Thank you, Councilor Gomez.
So let me clarify that. What do you want to do with that, Omar? You're just.
Just keep it in this agenda until I give it a report why we need it.
Barbara, one of the city council rules is that if you're introducing new business, you have to document it.
Yeah, I'll just put it under old business.
Well, it hasn't been, nothing's done to it yet.
Okay, I'll just wait to hear from Omar.
Leave it there and we'll, yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay. Councilor Rothschild, appointments.
We met on last Wednesday, Councilor Kwasinski and I, and we met with Jessica Allen. She came to our meeting. You know, she's up for reappointment with the Community Preservation Act Committee, and Dan Riss had called me ahead of time as well to endorse her reappointment. I mean, that's her skill set. It's great to have her on that. And she talked also to us about her conflict of interest and how she's dealing with that in terms of the Valley Development Corporation and not participating in conversations that involve any kind of conflict. And she's being very sensitive to that. So, I mean, I think we're all familiar with Jessica Allen and the great contribution she gives to our city and the knowledge that she brings. So we voted 2-0 to confirm the following mayoral appointment. So I would move here to confirm the following mayoral appointment: Jessica Allen to the Community Preservation Act Committee with a term expiration 12/31/2024.
Second.
Motion is second to approve Jess Allen to the CPA committee with the term expiration 12/31/2024. Any further discussion? Barbara.
Okay.
I have a comment.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
Sorry.
Your wrist.
Jessica Allen has brought extensive experience to our CPA committee. Being the only woman on the committee, she brings what I feel is an important aspect of the entire diversity of our city. We need her on this committee, and I thank her for reapplying in spite of her conflict of interest. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Kwasinski.
I think there was an excellent summary by Councilor Rothschild. I just wanted to add that by being cognizant or aware of their conflict of interest, I mean, we questioned Jessica, and she readily volunteered that I will abstain from any vote where there is any issue with her employer. So I think that's very clear. She made that very clear. And I just wanted to state that because I think that was very important to me. And I think to Councilor Rothschild that we maintain that separateness. Yes, we granted a waiver. She will come to us if there ever is a need for a waiver again. I don't anticipate that to be the situation. And following up on Councilor Rist, I agree wholeheartedly. Jessica had shown her knowledge across the board of all areas of the CPA. So we were very pleased to recommend the appointment.
And since you mentioned it, Councilor Rist, that she's the only woman on the CPA, I also endorse her. Obviously, it's a city council president appointment, but I would hope that the CPA would work on that and to get a little more diversity on that committee. I don't know how you go about that, but that's a little appalling that she's the only woman on there, but that's a sidebar. I didn't know that. So that might need to be worked on a little bit. So anyway, any further discussion? Well, we won't go into that, Dan. We're just leaving.
I just want to educate
No,
the
let's
public
just
and
let
you
it
to
go.
the fact.
It's not part of the motion, not part of the motion.
Okay.
It's just our comments. Okay, Barbara.
Salem Derby,
Aye.
Erica Flood,
Aye.
Omar Gomez,
Aye.
JP Kaczynski,
Aye.
Tom Peak,
Aye.
Dan Rist,
Aye.
Lindsay Rothschild,
Hi.
Owen Zaret,
Aye.
Peg Coniff.
Aye. Motion passes. Okay. Do you have anything new? I can't recall if you did. No? Okay.
This concludes.
You're welcome.
No meeting scheduled as of now.
Ordinance, Counselor Derby.
Oh, me again. We met last night. The ordinance committee did. We have been working with the planner and to review the item on our agenda, which is the smart growth district and the planned residential developments. We've made really good progress and progress to the point where we're ready to move this to the planning board and back to ordinance committee. If it pleases the president, I would like to make a motion to move that item to the planning board. And I believe I have to move it back to the ordinance committee as well.
Yeah.
In the form of a motion.
Second.
Motion second to move, is it the affordable housing and smart growth, that one, growth?
Yep.
To the planning board. Any further discussion? Barbara.
And Salem, I assume it's the version that you gave to the council. It hasn't had any changes? Because I need to have something to send to them.
Oh
the
boy,
most
it's had
recent
so many
copy,
changes.
there's been a ton of changes. But the most recent copy Jeff has, it's updated on his website, but I'll have him email that over to you
Okay,
tonight.
I need to have it because I have to send it to them as you're presenting it. So.
Yep. So yeah, I'll have him send that over to you tonight.
Okay. Erica Flood,
Aye.
Omar Gomez.
Aye.
JP Kaczynski. Tom Peak.
Aye.
Dan Rist.
Aye.
Lindsay Rothschild.
Aye.
Owen Zaret.
Yes.
Peg Coniff.
Aye.
Salem Derby.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Wonderful. And one of the interesting things, so we had voted to suspend the council rules to allow us to have a discussion with the EDIC. And that was a fruitful discussion. And it actually relates to a piece of new business that we have. But before I do that, what I'd like to do is I'd like to make a motion to remove from our agenda the discussion with EDIC about vacant storefront ordinance without prejudice.
Second.
Motion and a second to remove, is it even there?
Yep.
Where is
It
it?
is.
Oh, there it is. The discussion with EDIC about vacant storefront ordinance. Any further discussion? Counselor Kwasinski.
I was just driving by one vacant storefront in downtown and it was just appalling. So is there a reason this is being removed? I'm sorry.
Look at new business.
So you have some new business for us shortly. Excellent.
Yes.
Glad to hear that.
It's in the packet. Okay, go ahead.
I
think.
Okay, Peg Coniff.
Yes.
Salem Derby.
Yes.
Erica Flood.
Aye.
Omar Gomez.
Aye.
JP Kaczynski.
Aye.
Tom Peak.
Aye.
Dan Rist.
Aye.
Lindsay Rothschild.
Aye.
Owen Zaret.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Wonderful. And if it so pleases the president, I will move our new business, which you will see is a request to where is it right now? Look at a vacant storefront ordinance that I submitted in this week's packet
Moving
to
that.
ordinance subcommittee.
Second.
We could just look at it, I suppose. Motion a second to move the vacant storefront ordinance potential to the ordinance committee. Any further discussion? Barbara.
Salem Derby.
Yes.
Erica Flood.
Yes.
Omar Gomez.
Aye.
JP Kaczynski.
Aye.
Tom Peak.
Aye.
Dan Rist.
Aye.
Lindsay Rothschild.
Aye.
Owen Zaret.
Yes.
Peg Coniff.
Aye. Motion passes.
Wonderful. Now I just have, I don't think I have any housekeeping as far as extending deadlines. But I do want to just mention that we have set our next meeting and it does have an important component to it. So our next meeting is going to be November 30th at 7 p.m. And at that meeting, we are going to discuss a potential zoning change for, I believe it's 9 Groveland Street. And that is a request by the owner of the parcel to zone a residential parcel to highway business as it abuts highway business on 3 sides. But the reason why that's important is because it is in a residential neighborhood. And so if anybody's interested in discussing that November 30th at 7 p.m. And that's not going to be the only discussion we have on it. We're also planning a site visit in addition to that as well. So I just wanted to make sure that people were aware of that. The other piece that is important to note is we have a tentative date of December 14th at 6 p.m. with the planning board to start our joint public hearing on the item that we moved before, which is the overlay and smart growth district.
When was it? Counselor?
December 14th at 6 p.m.
Thank you.
And I see that JP has his hand up, I think, so.
Yes, I just wanted to make a factual correction. I believe the parcel in question is not surrounded by highway business, but there are two sides that are highway business, and in fact, two sides that are residential here.
I don't know if that is the case, but I think we'll sort that out when we get into the meeting. And I see Jeff has his hand up as well.
Jeff, what are you speaking to, Jeff? We're in the middle of, go ahead.
I think it's 7 Groveland, not 9.
Sorry.
If someone's following along, I just want to get the address as 7.
Thanks, Jeff.
That's a good correction. I didn't have it in front of me. Guess my memory's failing me.
Well, it's on the agenda as 9, so you're good.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
There you go. So maybe not failing that much.
Exactly.
And I don't believe that I have any other points of business, so thus concludes.
All right, thank you, Councilor Derby. Councilor Zaret, property.
Property. We have continuing business that was moved last time. We have not met in the interim since our last meeting. We have the continuing business of the boundary line agreement with the owner of 99 Hendricks Street. For any parliamentarians or barbermentarians in attendance, does that need a public hearing, or is that just a vote out of committee? Okay,
Just
great.
needs a vote.
So we'll discuss that at our next meeting, which I will reveal shortly. We have a couple items of new business. We have a request, Eversource request to install one pole near 20/30 Ballard Street, and another request to install one jointly owned pole on Park Street near South Street. I'd like to make a motion at this time to move those both to our committee.
Second.
Motion second to move new business to the property committee. Any further discussion? Barbara.
Erica Flood,
Aye.
Omar Gomez,
Aye.
JP Kaczynski,
Yes.
Tom Peak, Dan Rist,
Aye.
Lindsay Rothschild,
Aye.
Owen Zaret,
Yes.
Peg Coniff,
Aye.
Salem Derby.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Wonderful. I'd also like to make a motion at this time to set public hearings for both of those items for our December 1st meeting.
Second.
Motion is second to set a public hearing for the 2 new business items for property. Any further discussion? Barbara.
Omar Gomez.
Aye.
JP Kaczynski,
Yes.
Tom Peak.
Aye.
Dan Rist,
Aye.
Lindsay Rothschild.
We lost Lindsay.
No, aye.
Oh.
Owen Zaret,
Yes.
Peg Coniff,
Aye.
Salem Derby,
Aye.
Erica Flood.
Aye.
Okay, public hearing is set.
And join us for the next exciting installment of the Property Committee on November 29th, 2021 at 6 p.m. on Zoom. And thus concludes.
Okay, thank you, Councilor Zaret. Councilor Peak, Rules and Government Relations.
Thank you, Madam President. I have nothing to report.
Well done. Anyone from the ad hoc committees, either ranked choice voting or senior tax work-off? So we'll start with you, Tom Peak. Anything with ranked choice voting?
I do. We met
November 9th.
November 9th. That's it. I have no concept of time anymore after this last 2 years. But yeah. So we met, we had a great discussion. At some point, we're actually, Dan Gilbert, who chaired that committee, is going to get the cast vote record, and he'd be interested in coming to the council to do a little presentation on what we saw. We talked a little bit about some of the, overall things we thought went really, really well. There were a few technical things that really didn't have anything to do with ranked choice voting, but had to do with the tabulator machines that we are using in part because of ranked choice voting. That are things that I think are ongoing issues of interest, but they really are not specific to ranked choice voting and are things that we believe the clerk's office is capable of researching and looking into. And with that in mind, the committee voted to disband because we have fulfilled our duty per the part of the charter that said that we needed to form such a thing. With
Yeah.
yes, with that in mind, I will make a motion to disband the ranked choice voting committee.
Second.
Motion is second to disband ranked choice voting committee. By the way, congratulations, well done, everyone on that committee. So helpful. Motion is second to disband. Barbara.
JP
I'm sorry,
Kaczynski.
hold it. Counselor Kwasinski. You're on mute. We can't hear you.
I said, sorry, I hit the wrong button. I meant to have a thumbs up to the committee. Thank you for your hard work.
Okay, go ahead, Barb.
JP Kaczynski.
Yes.
Tom Peak.
Aye.
Dan Rist. Dan. Okay, I saw his mouth. Lindsay
Aye.
Rothschild.
Aye.
Owen Zaret.
Yes.
Peg Coniff. Salem Derby.
Aye.
Erica Flood.
Aye.
Omar Gomez.
Aye.
That committee is disbanded. Thank you, everyone. Senior tax work-off. Counselor.
No report this evening.
Counselor, I just want to remind you that you have until the December 15th meeting to either keep it going or disband it. So, okay.
That is correct. Thank you.
All right. All right. Old business, new business. I think we're done. I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion is second to adjourn. Barbara.
Tom Peak.
Aye.
Dan Rist.
Aye.
Lindsay Rothschild.
Aye.
Owen Zaret.
Yes.
Peg Coniff.
Aye.
Salem Derby.
Aye.
Erica Flood.
Aye.
Omar Gomez.
Aye.
JP Kaczynski.
Aye.
All right, everybody. Have a good night. Thank you.